Good day, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Today, we will be discussing our research presentation about the effect of social media exposure in the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of students in the issue of COVID-19 at the Pan Pacific University. I'm Yurich Parinas.
I'm Allen Kiming.
This is Jamaica Laborete, and I will explain about data gathering instrument.
Evan Texon.
This
I'm Angeli Jane Aluot.
I am Charity Mbaya.
I'm Allen Kiming. I choose to explain the background of the study of my group research paper, stating social media is online forum that people use to create social networks or social relations with others that share similar personal or career interests, hobbies, backgrounds, or real-life connection. The influence of social media to younger generation is important. It becomes increasingly evident that social networks have become part of people's lives. Many, many people, specifically teenagers, use their laptops, tablet, computers, and smartphones to search their friends and families' updates on tweets and status. When technology progresses, people are under pressure to adapt new life. Social networking sites can enable young people to become more socially capable. Social network is a web-based method of communication of data. It allows users to have discussion, exchange information, and create web content. Social media has different types, including forums, microblogs, wikis, social networking sites, photo sharing sites, instant messaging, video sharing sites, podcasts, widgets, virtual worlds, and more. Millions of people around the world are using social media to exchange information and make connections. At an individual level, social media allows us to connect with our friends and families, to learn new things, to cultivate your interests, and to be entertained. Social media is a revolutionary concept with a very, very clever potential and an enormous scope for advancement. With the advent of social media, many companies are using these tools to improve their practices. Through using social network, we can advertise or interact more easily. Likewise, people don't have to rely on newspaper or TV to get the regular dose of news that can all be accessed from a social networking site. People can track or get information from all over the world.
My name is Evan Texon, so I explaining what is SOP. So our research study aims to determine the effect of social media exposure on social, psychological, and emotional behavior of students at Pan Pacific University in the issue of COVID-19. So we have three questionnaires. First, what are the effects of social media exposure on social, psychological behavior of students at Pan Pacific University? Second is, how do students perceive the impact of social media engagement on the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of students at Pan Pacific University? The last questionnaire is, how students feel what they saw on social media? So we base on what problem that will affect by our questionnaire and affected by their social and psychological emotional behavior. As we are students, we wanted to know how will they react to COVID-19 pandemic if it will be affected by their mental health and stress. So we use SOP to determine that responses that we will know from our respondents and how will affect them with our topic, and it will be used in research to question and having feedback to our respondents.
Significance of the study. The importance of this study is to learn about the possible effects of disclosing the social media through the different behavior of students, which are the social, psychological, and emotional behavior in the issue of this pandemic called COVID-19. There are some sectors that will benefit this study. So first, the students. This beneficiary will be aware about the different effects of social media during this pandemic. Second are the teachers. They will supervise the students when it comes to using social media. Third, parents. They have the control over these children who uses social media. A child who are underage must have a guidance through her or his parents. Fourth, future researchers. This study will serve as their working ground or foundation because as they read this research, they will have a first-hand knowledge regarding this issue.
Hi, I am Charity Ambaya and I will be discussing about the scope and the limitation of this study. So this study is only focused on the effects of social media exposure in particular aspects such as the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of the students at Pan Pacific University. These students were the grade 11A and B who were enrolled in the school year 2019-2020. We will be randomly picking 5 students, a minimum of 5 students, from both sections who will be answering the questionnaires and thus only limited to the issue of COVID-19.
And now, we will be discussing our Chapter 2. Research Design. Our research design regarding on the effect of social media exposure in the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of students in the issue of COVID-19 at the Pan Pacific University. The students' behavior in the relevance of COVID-19 pandemic is quite interchanging in a sense that the students need to attend their Google Classroom. On that, they need to have a strong Wi-Fi connection to comply about the requirements. Some students who are more in life can provide, but some students who are less fortunate needed to look for some who haven't. But how? When the government says there are rules needed to follow, just like curfew of social distancing. But somehow this pandemic makes students resourceful in a sense that they will look for some alternative way to comply with their requirements. The researchers choose to follow descriptive method of research. Descriptive research is concerned with the description of data and characteristic about a population. Why descriptive? It is descriptive in a sense that this research will give information about how COVID-19 interchangeably took care of everything. The earth healing itself, the crime decreased, and people had time to bond with their loved one and to God. We cannot alter things on how it used to be, or fast forward things we wanted it to be. Every second matters. So why not to be like AB, who use its time wisely and productively? The world will shine again when God says it's time.
Local and population. The respondents of this research are the grade 11 students of Pan Pacific University, MacArthur Highway, San Vicente, Urdaneta City. Specifically, the grade 11A and B, they are 101 students all in all, and the researchers only picked 5 randomly students to be surveyed.
This is Jamaica Laborete, and I will explain about data gathering instrument. So the instrument in the study was modified questionnaires for the students. The questionnaires were a tool used by the researchers to collect data, which was to conclude the effects of social media exposure of the students in the issue of COVID-19. The first part of the questionnaire determined the effects of social media exposure on the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of students at Pan Pacific University. It tackles the attitude, perception, and emotion of the respondents with regard to the issue of COVID-19. The second part of the questionnaire determined on how students perceive the impact of social media engagement on the social, psychological, and emotional behavior. The third questionnaire determines how students feel what they saw on social media, and it tackles their impression. So we use questionnaires as our instrument in collecting or gathering the data, but we didn't have a chance to gather some data from our respondents because we are in a quarantine, and it is not easy for us to just answer the questionnaires because we need the opinion of our respondents in order for our findings to be truthful.
Instrument. The instrument in the study was modified questionnaire for the students. The questionnaire were a tool used by the researcher to collect data, which was to conclude effects of social media exposure of the students in the issues of COVID-19. The first part of the questionnaire determined the effects of social media exposure on the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of the students at Pan Pacific University. It tackles the attitude, perception, and emotion of the respondents with regards to the issue of COVID-19. The second part of the questionnaire determined on how students perceive the impact of social media engagement on the social, psychological, and emotional behavior. The third questionnaire determines how the student feel what they saw on social media. It holds the impression, wherein we are going to choose student to answer our questionnaire so that we can gather enough information to answer the statement of the problem and to probe what are really the effects of social media exposure in the social, psychological, and emotional behavior of the students at Pan Pacific University in the issues of COVID-19.
So my name is Evan Texon. So I'll be discussing what is ethical consideration. So the researchers asked permission to the research coordinator to gather the needed data. The researchers seek for voluntary permission to the respondents involved to the research. The use of offensive, discriminatory, or other unacceptable language is to be avoided in the formulation of questionnaire and interview. Privacy and anonymity of the respondents is the highly encouraged. Research participants will not be subjected harm in any ways whatsoever. The adequate level of confidence was ensured. Any type of misleading information as well as representation of primary data findings in a biased way was avoided. When we gathered data to our respondents and we interview them, and we need first to know them that what is our topic all about, so we can make aware them what question that we need to ask for them in not in offensive way. And also we have a responsibility to question them with respectful manners and a question that will have a sensitivity towards reporter